Turf Moor. Burnley at home to Sheffield United. Early action, and Sheffield certainly on the front foot. 8 minutes, McBurney inside the box, and his shot was saved by Pope. Good save it was too. A few half chances at either end followed, and then 39 minutes, a Norwood cross, again McBurney, the guilty party, putting it wide. Then 3 minutes later, slightly against the run of play, Tarkowski anticipated a cross from the left. The ball was flicked onto the space that Tarkowski ran into. That flick came off Rodriguez's head, it was too much for Henderson anyway. Tarkowski steering it home, and that was 1-0 to Burnley. Into the second half then, and Sheffield United had always looked capable of getting back on terms, although there was shots from distance from Rodriguez, which was palmed away by Henderson on 76, and a follow-up by McNeil just wide of the target. But then 79 minutes, the equaliser finally come, and it was from a corner, and cleared to the edge of the box, but Osborne flicked the cross back in to the danger area, and amazingly Sharp managed to jump above the rest and nodded it onto the far post, and Egan arrived and lashed it in on the half volley to equalise. Well, that was about it really, but it has to be said that 1-1 was about right. Sheffield United have bounced back now recently, and they look really strong. Very impressed I am with them. So final score at Turf Moor, Burnley 1, Sheffield United 1. So to the clash at St James's Park then, Newcastle versus West Ham. I watched all of this game, and I must admit it was a very, very entertaining match. Sides well matched. They were both committed to attacking football, and it was a real enjoyment to watch it. Shame there was no one there to witness it, however. For West Ham, who of course have just had that win against Chelsea, they took the game to the Magpies initially. Bowen, who's been a good asset from Hull City, he got an early cross in that Lascelles completely missed, but Antonio put it in the top corner, and amazingly they were 1-up. That was on 4 minutes. Bit of a shock for Newcastle faithful. 9 minutes though, Fabianski managed to push Gale's free kick to safety, but on 16 minutes Almiron managed to get on the score sheet. A sharp finish from a cross from the right levelled things up. Moving on, a neat move from Shelvey, who looked a class act, but Fabianski off his line to snuff it out. That was on 21 minutes. 32 minutes, Creswell strike forced Dubrovka to clear. And it got to the break 1-1, but it'd been much better than those highlights. But I'm trying to keep them a little bit brief, because my videos are getting a little bit too long, as you probably noticed. Early into the second half, few opportunities, but then we got to 65 minutes, and Rice, who had a good game, heads onto the box, and Souček arrived. That's right, Souček, and he drove it through a load of players into the net, and that was 2-1 for the Hammers. 66 minutes, just a minute later, and Shelvey hit the equaliser after some good approach work by Gale. And so amazingly, West Ham had conceded the lead on 2 occasions, and this time in just 1 minute. So we were level at 2-2 into the final quarter. Souček had a header from a Yarmolenko cross on 80 minutes, but Dubrovka was good enough. and then some good work on 83 minutes by Kamala, but Dubrovka again proving strong to clear it away. I think I've got that pronunciation wrong. La Scala is the West Ham player. There were a number of substitutions to try and get that winner, but eventually both managers, Moyes and Bruce, had to be satisfied with a point each. West Ham probably disappointed that they didn't get the 3, although it does move them a little closer away from that drop zone. So final score at St James's Park then, Newcastle 2, West Ham 2. The champions then at home to Aston Villa. Klopp rotated a few. Origi, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Keita were in from the start. Firmino and Chamberlain on the bench. Trezeguet put up front for Villa on this occasion. First 20 minutes were pretty quiet, but Villa looked to have slightly the better of it. And Luiz on 32 certainly woke Alisson up. But up the other end, Salah managed to get an effort on target, but it was relatively easy for Reina, who was playing against his old club. Goalless at the break, but it has to be said that Villa looked the sharper, and Liverpool still looked a little bit like they were still celebrating. 50 minutes, a strong effort from Grealish that certainly warmed Alisson's palms. And then El Ghazi, a couple of minutes later, shot on target that continued to keep Alisson busy. Villa was still having the better of the play. And then, slightly against the run of play, I thought, from the highlights I saw, Mane pounced after a sweet move started by Arnold. He fed Keita, who fed the ball through to Mane, and his shot hit the bar. He was unmarked, of course, and that's a dangerous thing to do with this man from Senegal. So that was 1-0 to the Reds. Reina denied a Firmino effort who'd come on 75 minutes, and Jones had also come on as a substitute, and it was him that doubled Liverpool's advantage. Robertson's cross, and Salah glanced it back to Jones, who thumped it home 2-0. From the highlights I saw, I thought it flattered Liverpool, but I guess Villa, they just don't take their chances. So final score at Anfield was Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. Southampton at home to Manchester City, the last match on Sunday, and from the highlights it was an absolute cracker. McCarthy in goal for Southampton, Gnabry on the bench, we haven't seen him. Shea Adams was up front with Ings. For City, Guardiola rotated again. The two Silvers were in from the start, De Bruyne and Foden on the bench. Of course, still no Aguero. He's not going to be back this season after that knee op. Right, first action after 5 minutes happened in City's box, where they managed to scramble and clear their lines. 16 minutes, City again caught in possession near their halfway line. Armstrong robbing the defender, and he fed Adams, and from 35 yards and more perhaps, Adams, seeing Ederson slightly off his line, whipped the ball, and it looped over Ederson's head and bounced into the net. It was an audacious effort, and a really fantastic way to open your account. Adams been desperate for a goal for some time. So Saints were 1 up. 22 minutes, Cancelo on the right managed to get in a vicious cross, but Jesus could only poke it over. And this really started the barrage, really, from City looking for that equaliser. Sterling tested McCarthy, then Fernandinho hit a post, and then McCarthy was again in action to stop a David Silva header. An amazing period of action. But Southampton still posed a threat on the counter, and Redmond worked Edison on 34 minutes. 42 minutes, a Walker-Peters cross got over City's back line, and Ings anticipated it, but his volley went over as Edison came out to him. Into the second half now, an early effort from Laporta, which was inches wide, and then we just had wave after wave of City attacking, with great stops by McCarthy, some tremendous blocks by the Scots defence. It became almost a bit of a shooting gallery, plus an array of defensive headers, but it was still 1-0 on 66 minutes. And then Edison needed to be alert to deny Armstrong, who had a shot saved on the break. After that, well, City still prodding and probing, but they just couldn't break down this red and white wall. And so we reached the final whistle, and an amazing game and a great victory for Southampton. They've beaten Manchester City by 1-0. So let's round up these fixtures then. 9, of course, we haven't got the Spurs match yet. They are playing tonight. But let's have a quick look at the table. Champions Liverpool now 89 points from 33 games, of course. City still comfortably in second on 66. And then 3, 4 and 5. That's where the interest is. Leicester on 58, Chelsea 57 and Manchester United on 55. Then we've got Wolves on 6 at 52, and Arsenal have improved to 7th on 49. And then Sheffield United 48, Burnley 46 in 9th place. And Spurs, who play Everton, occupy 10 and 11. Now, if we go back down to the basement, that's a quick reminder. Norwich, 21 points now from 33 games. They are gone. The interest is in, really, I guess, 2 from 3. Bournemouth and Villa are on 27 in 19th and 18th, respectively. But Watford, who are just above the drop zone on 28, are in 17. And I guess West Ham are entirely resting comfortably. They've got 31 from 16. So there's still a lot to play for there. I have to say, I thought the quality this weekend was far improved. It's taken a bit of time to get going since the lockdown. Of course, empty stadiums don't help, but I really did feel there were some great games here. The 2 I saw in their entirety, Manchester United and Bournemouth, and then Newcastle and West Ham, were first class and very competitive. And the highlights show from Southampton and Manchester City looked up there as well. But as for goal of the week, well, it's really difficult to choose this one because the quality of goals from United's front line have really scorched the earth. But I'm going to give it to Anthony Martial. I just think his was just a slight touch above Greenwood's brace. And of course, Bruno Fernandes's free kick. So I'm going to give it to Martial. He really has come and blossomed now. He really does look like United's number 9. He's there to stay. There's a smile on his face every time he takes to the field, unlike what it was like previously, particularly under Mourinho. And I think it's going to be a very interesting run-in. So that's my lot.